Chapter 3, Section 1, an equation is two things that are equal. Two things that are equal. A solution is an answer, something that makes that equation true. The addition property of equality says if you have two things that are equal, A equals B. If you add the same thing, if you add C to that side and C to that side, they will still be equal. So if A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C. Subtraction property of equality says if we have two things that are equal, then we can say A minus C equals B minus C. Multiplication property of equality says if we have two things that are equal, if A equals B, then A times C equals B times C. And the division property of equality says if A equals B, then A divided by C equals B divided by C. And we're going to use these ideas to solve these equations. And all of these equations have at least two steps. Starting with number 1, we will subtract 2 from both sides. And when we do that, we have 9x equals 19. And trying to get the x by itself, you will divide both sides by 9, and we can just leave that as 19 over 9. You can work it out if you would like to, but you can just leave it as that fraction. Number 2, we need to distribute. So that becomes 4m minus 28 equals 5. From there we add 28 to both sides, and that becomes 4m equals 33. And then when we divide both sides by 4, I'm just going to leave that as 33 over 4. And again, you can divide that, you can make it fractions if you want, but you can just leave it like that. Number 3, to get rid of this, subtract 1/2. I will add 1/2 to both sides. And as long as we're here, I'm going to change this 2/5. I'm going to change that to a fraction. And that will become 0.4x equals 5.5. 5 plus 1/2 is 5.5. From there, you divide both sides by 0.4, and you end up with 13.75. Number 4, we need to combine like terms. 4y minus 7y is a negative 3y, and then we have a plus 3 equals 19. From there we subtract 3 from both sides, and that becomes negative 3y equals 16. And then when we divide both sides by negative 3, it becomes negative 16/3. Number 5, we have two variables on both sides, and I'm going to get rid of the smaller one. Smaller one right here is a 3y. When you subtract 3y from both sides, you have 4y minus 4 equals 9. And when you add 4 to both sides, that becomes 4y equals 13. Then you need to divide both sides by 4, and y equals 13/4. Number 6, it's just the y that you have to distribute. So that becomes 30 equals 7 minus b plus 12. Over here you have a 7 and a plus 12. So that becomes a 19 minus b. From there, subtracting 19 from both sides, you have 11 equals negative b. Don't forget this negative right here. And then b ends up equaling negative 11. 7, 8, and 9 are a couple step problems. Number 7, first we need to distribute that 7. So that becomes 2c plus 7c minus 7 equals a negative 14 plus 5c. Combining these two, that becomes 9c minus 7 equals a negative 14 plus 5c. From there, you subtract 5c from both sides, and that becomes 4c minus 7 equals negative 14. And when you add 7 to both sides, that becomes 4c equals negative 7. And when you divide both sides by 4, I'm just going to leave that as negative 7/4. Number 8, we start by combining like terms. X minus 6x is a negative 5x plus 4. Number 8, 6 minus 2 is a 4 minus 5x. When we add 5x to both sides, that looks like it becomes 4 equals 4. And we have a slightly different situation here. That is a true statement. That's always going to be a true statement. And what that means then is that any single number that we put in there will make it true. So that means all real numbers, or you can say all numbers are solutions. Number 9, we need to distribute the negative. So that becomes 4 minus x minus 6 equals a negative x plus 2. 4 minus 6 is a negative 2 minus x, which equals a negative x plus 2. From there, you add x to both sides, and you have negative 2 equals 2. That is not a true statement. It's never going to be a true statement, so that means there are no solutions here. There's no number that can go into that equation that will make it true. The top of the next page, we have some story problems. Alex belongs to Ski Club. In this club, students can buy a discount card for $34, and then that allows them to ski for $13 each. After 1 year, Alex spent $99, and the question is, how many times did Alex go skiing this year? So it's a $34 initial investment, and then it's $13 each time he goes skiing, and all together that is $99. And there's the equation. Sorry about that. From there you subtract 34 from both sides, and that becomes 13x equals 65. And when you divide both sides by 13, x equals 5. And that means that Alex went skiing 5 times. Number 11, Sarah paid $50 to become a member at a gym, so $50. And then you have to pay a monthly fee. So for 12 months you have to pay a fee, so that will be 12x. And altogether she paid $314. $50 was the initial fee, plus 12 months equals $314. From there, you subtract 50 from both sides, and you have 12x equals 264. And when you divide both of those sides by 12, you end up with x equals $22. So $22 a month was the monthly fee. Number 12, we have 2 cell phone companies. The first one is $9.99 a month plus 3 cents per minute, so 0.03 M. And the second one is $56. When you subtract $9.99, you have 0.03x equals 5601. And when you divide both sides by 0.03, we have 5601 divided by 0.03. It's 1,867. So at 1,867 minutes, those 2 phones cost the same. Number 13, at Speedway you can buy a slushy club card for $5, and then it costs you 75 cents per slushy. At BP, your slushy card is $10, and then it costs you 50 cents per slushy. And the question is, after how many slushies do you pay the same amount, and what is that amount? So I would start by subtracting the 50.50x from both sides, and that becomes 5 plus 0.25x equals 10. Subtracting 5 from both sides, you have 0.25x equals 5. And when you divide both sides by 0.25, you end up with 20. So when you buy 20 slushies, it's the same at either Speedway or BP. And then the second part of the question is, what is that amount? So I'm going to do 5 plus 0.75 times 20, which is 5 plus 15, which is $20. So if you buy 20 slushies at either place, it would cost you $20.